Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. In today's episode, we are speaking with an immigrant who moved from Russia to America when she was 19 years old to live out the American dream and eventually become a doctor of pharmacy. Through many trials and tribulations, this athlete was living on fast food, working all day, every day while earning an education. And in 2011, she discovered bodybuilding.com after fad diets and fad diets and fad diets, and then found Bikini Girls on Instagram and knew she wanted to do a competition. So in 2014, she did her first show while working full-time, then another in 2016, and then after some ups and downs, she came back in 2019 after passing her boards for pharmacy school, decided to work with Whitney Jones, and competed at the Arnold Amateur, where she earned a national qualification, and just this last December hit the USA stage, her first national show, to win her pro card. So welcome to the podcast, Irina Post. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm so happy. Like I was telling you, I'm just really grateful you're here. And I do definitely regret not saying anything to you at the show. And we were in the same class, actually, which is even cooler that now we get to connect in this way.
Right. I know. And as I told you, you should have.
I
Yeah.
I love it. Well, before we get into everything, because I've got a lot
hmm
planned, I always love to ask if there's something you do or a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage.
So we did talk a little bit about that already, but I try just to be kind of as quiet as possible and just kind of sit in my corner. If I have anyone there with me that I know, then I just kind of stay in that corner and I try not to walk around or anything. Yeah, I just kind of keep it to myself. If I could listen to music, then I listen to music because unfortunately my body loves to hold on water, and if I were to like start looking around and stuff like that, then um, that actually happened to me at the Arnold.
Oh.
Well, not only that I wasn't lean enough, but so like before finals, um, I so my coach looked at me and like I looked fine, and then she's like, "Yeah, you hit the stage, and then you started holding on water." So somewhere, from that time that we were just there backstage waiting um, for all the winners to come back on stage. I was probably just freaking out and looking at everyone or just walking around and stuff like that. So yeah, so since then I'm just like, okay, I just need to chill. So I'm just, trying to chill and sit and relax and, you know, get up there when the time is right and just do the thing.
Yes, totally. And how interesting too that from that show you learned, okay, my body holds on to water, so I have to relax and keep things cool backstage. And I know you started competing many years ago, and you've talked about how sometimes you felt like, oh, maybe I could have been a pro sooner if I had done things differently. But then you also recognize all that you have accomplished as an athlete and the things that you accomplished outside of competing. So, do you mind sharing how you knew it was time to step away from the stage for a little and then how you knew it was time to come back?
Yes. So so when I moved here, I had a completely different education. So I had to start all over again. Then I decided, oh, I wanted to do pharmacy. And so through that time, while I was getting my prerequisites and stuff like that, um, I did compete in 2016, which for 2016, I guess I looked okay. I mean, I still was able to place third, but like if when I'm looking at like those pictures right now, I'm just like, Jesus, how did I even place? It was just like looking like a soft butter there on the stage. But regardless, yeah. So then pharmacy school started, and my pharmacy school was, I mean, any pharmacy school is no joke, but my program was also accelerated. So instead of 4 years there, I went just 3 years. During that time, I tried to compete, and it was, school came first because, in the end of the day, yes, there are professional athletes that, but very, very rarely anyone is making money off of, well, no one is making money off of competing, they're making money off of other things. But here, obviously education came first for me because I knew that, bodybuilding for me is a hobby. I love doing it. I love the feeling. Um, so hobby. I had to step away from it. So, but then once I graduated and once I passed my boards, I was just so bored. And I'm like, man, I'm like, I have nothing to do, I'm like, I just go to work and then I don't have to study or anything. So that's when I, contacted Whitney and then we started working together. And I just really wanted to set like a bigger goal for me, like to do like a really, um, not a really hard show, but a harder show, kind of like Arnold and stuff like that. So that's when I was like, yes, I want to do Arnold. And that's when I did it. And when I got the first place, and I was like, oh man, looks like I'm pretty good. Because you never know your potential. I mean, my husband always said I was good, but like his opinion cannot be trusted. And yeah, and after that, I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to go for my pro card. So, and then obviously COVID and everything, and they got delayed. Like I was literally putting all my eggs into one basket, USA. So
Yes. Yeah. So you started.
I kind of like went like somewhere else with that question that you asked me.
Oh no,
Sorry.
it was perfect. Literally, you covered so many of the things that I'm gonna be discussing with you today, and so I couldn't have asked for a better answer. I love when people like take are descriptive because it helps me. So you had
Mhm.
mentioned working with Whitney and her team, and I was wondering how their approach has been maybe different for you with, or maybe just their approach in general with the ups and downs of the show cancellations, your body and your weight
Mhm.
not responding to protocol, and then the extended prep because of COVID, which you mentioned, you were putting all your eggs into USA's.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, when I originally started working with her, so it's her and Alexandra Ross. So Alex, one of the bikini pros. So they're both of my coaches. Um, so first, what they do differently is they do macros. I never did macros before, but I always wanted to try. And I figured out that macros is something that works for me. It works for me off season and it works for me during prep. Also, mentally, I need to have my scheduled refeeds, aka cheat meals, and so they had that in the program. Um, I, I mean, this time before USA, they had to get um, a lot stricter. But still, I think I was getting refeeds until like, geez, maybe like 10 weeks out, probably. Um, so that approach really, really worked for me. So it's definitely something different that I did before. I always had a meal plan, which I felt like I just couldn't sustain for a very long time.
Mhm.
I mean, with macros, it's also, I mean, you know yourself that you can't. I mean, especially when you're working, when you're busy, like I'm not going to be sitting there and calculating different kind of macros for like all those days, you know. So you pretty much have your own set meals and stuff, which for me it was tilapia and asparagus and rice. So that was really easy to calculate. But regardless, like when you're looking at the big picture, like that was the biggest difference that I feel like helped me a lot, and like I felt like I could actually do it and I can do it right.
Okay, and that's interesting because you had never taken that approach before. So was there a learning curve, or do
Hmm.
you feel like you understood it really quick?
No, because when I started, uh, so you did mention that. So in 2011, I started working out and lifting weights and following the one of the bodybuilding diets and stuff. So I knew actually before I wanted to be a pharmacist, I kind of looked at the nutrition part, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to be a nutritionist, but then I changed my mind. So I knew a lot about macros already, so it was pretty easy for me to, it just takes a little bit of extra time. I feel like people that prefer set diets over macros are just, they like that. Okay, this is what I'm told to eat, and that's what I'm eating. Which can be the same, exactly the same with macros too. So that was pretty easy for me. I kind of didn't really have to learn much. It was just kind of like a nature.
Definitely. That's really cool. And I'm excited to talk to you more about like your career and how you chose that and your journey to America. So you guys listening, you will definitely want to hear all of that. But I want to also know like what adjustments were made to your programming that helped your body start responding again when you were plateauing a little bit or having a sticking point
Hmm.
in this last prep.
I honestly don't even know. I think uh, just sticking to sticking to it, and getting through it. Like it was really really weird. Like my body is kind of going through that stuff right now too. Um, I mean, as you might know, my husband and I were trying to get married. I mean, married. We were trying to get pregnant.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I'm like, okay, is that my hormones messed up because we're just a thought, or I'm like, or is that because we're getting pregnant? So just like all weird. It's like all of those. So the same thing happened to me, kind of like during the summer. So I don't know whether my body was just really kind of tired or what was happening with it, but I was like literally having all the side effects of, I mean, all the symptoms of pregnancy. And I was like, that is just really weird. And I wasn't pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and the same thing is right now. But then, so like during the summer, um, like it was happening. And then like 1 month, like literally after I got my period, boom, like I just, it was just like flipped 360. And then my body just started responding like really, really well, where I was, looking so much better, so much far out. Um, yeah, but I honestly have like we literally didn't do anything differently. I was just, my advice to someone who's going through the same thing, don't give up, keep pushing. And hopefully, because there was definitely like weeks when I'm like, my weight just like went up like 4 pounds, and I'm just like, where did that come from? Especially when you know that you're doing everything right. It's very discouraging, but you just got to keep going at it.
Yes, like trusting the process, having
Exactly.
patience.
Yes. Yes. All of that, which is, I'm not a very patient person. So it does. Yeah. I'm just like, what's wrong? I'm like, I want to fix now. Yeah.
Yes,
So a lot of patience, that's for sure.
definitely. And I think when we have more patience, we're less likely to go to like drastic measures or extremes. And, um,
Right.
it's like
Mhm.
it helps us to see the long term benefit of the program or the
Mhm.
process and where you're going to end up. But it can be discouraging, like you said, especially when you are following your protocol and doing everything that you are
Mhm.
quote unquote supposed to.
Exactly. And it's just like, it was like it's getting closer and closer to the show, and I'm just like, man, it really needs to start working now. Yeah. So, but thankfully, I mean, it all works out. And yeah. So thank God.
Yes. And you have that great relationship with your coaches to trust that
Mhm.
it's gonna happen, it's gonna pull together. And you did
Yes.
mention that they had noticed at the Arnold that you had held onto water. So how did you guys ensure that this time you would peak exactly as you planned to really nail that look?
Well, I think that part of the reason I was just not lean enough.
Mhm.
I just think that when your body is very, very lean, like nothing can mess you up. Like girls get their periods on the show day, like even that should not be messing you up, like if you truly where you're supposed to be. So like coming into USA, I told Whitney, like I don't remember like how many weeks out, but every time I would be asking her, I'm like, hey, can we push me harder? Can we like increase the cardio? Can we like decrease calories? I would always ask her, just because I knew I had to come in leaner, at least like 5, 6 pounds leaner than where I was at the Arnold. Like that was just like
Absolutely.
not a question. Like especially like after seeing like my pictures and everything, I was like, yeah, I certainly need to be leaner than that. Hmm.
Yeah, and that's like the thing as competitors is we can look at ourselves and see what needs to change or what could have been better. And
Hmm.
we can do that with a critical eye or we can do that with like a motivated eye, like, okay, let's do this, let's make this happen. Now, did you find yourself
Hmm.
wanting to do extra cardio or limit your food, or were you solely just like, I'm gonna follow exactly what my coach tells me?
Oh no, I wanted to do it. I asked her for it. Yeah, so I literally asked her for it, and even so, when we were probably so what works for my body is low fat. So this time around, we had to go um, like trace fats pretty much, maybe like 2 weeks out, and then probably about 1 week out, which I still wanted to be leaner, and so Whitney actually had to put in some fats, and she was like, "No, no, trust me. Like, you don't want to be like on trace fats for that long." It's hard, and just to add to like what I really love about their team is that they're not just like crash dieting you to get to certain point, to where however like you need to look. But they also take health into consideration. So she's like, yeah, you need to like chill out. You're gonna be fine. I'm gonna add in some fats in there. But yes, I have been asking for like for more. I'm like, keep it coming, yes, girl. I'm like, we need to be leaner. I'm like, maybe I should like do 40 minutes of cardio, 45. Which I can't complain. Like this prep, it didn't, I didn't have to do crazy, crazy, crazy amounts of cardio, or like my calories weren't as low as they could have been, or as I've heard like some other girls had. So I can't really complain, but I certainly was willing to do whatever it takes to be where I wanted to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you have mentioned you didn't even expect to go pro at your first national show, but I love how you were so committed to bringing something better. So, what were you focused on mentally leading into the show? Like, and then what was it like to actually hear your name called for that pro card win?
Ah, So, this prep has been so crazy because obviously COVID happened and I am a pharmacist, and then I got promoted to a pharmacy manager position.
Oh,
My pharmacy is about an hour and a 15-minute drive, and we were short staffed, and since, probably, so I had to come in to work earlier, and I work 12-hour shifts mostly.
wow.
So I had, like, the biggest struggle for me this prep was, I didn't have enough time. I literally had to like run on fumes, and I don't even know how I survived it. Like, I would have 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep max, and then I would have that for like 2 days, and then one day I would, take a day off, and then I would sleep in, which is like, I would have 6 hours instead of four, which is not really sleeping in. Um, and so the mindset, I don't know. I kind of wasn't thinking even about it. I was just doing it, and that's it. I want to say that. As far as the pro card, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Going into the show, I had a lot of people telling me, "Oh, you're gonna go pro, or you have the pro physique." But
Mhm.
like knowing that, like the journey that my husband had to go through, like it's like he's been hearing all that same stuff, like at his national shows, and I thought about it like that it would be nice to go pro, and it's going to be awesome if I'm going to go pro, but I didn't want to be too confident. Like, I'm never a too confident. Like, I'm never a cocky person. I would never be like, oh yes, I know I'm gonna go pro. I mean, even though I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna get an overall, but I didn't get it.
Oh, you were
But
close. I remember
I
seeing you like,
know.
wow.
I know. I was like, dang it. But
Yes.
yeah, so like going into it, I really didn't want to. I wanted it, obviously. Who doesn't want it? But I didn't want to be like, oh yes, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get it. Um, so obviously, I mean, after the prejudging, I knew that I'm going to be either first or second, so it's going to be a pro card. But I mean,
Mhm.
it's definitely getting the first call out, going through prejudging, which is I mean, it's just it's so crazy when you're out there. You have really no idea how many girls are pulling out. Like where are you standing on stage?
True.
So it's like I had an idea that I was somewhere in the middle, but then they moved me, and I was like, I'm like, looks like they moved me out, but they actually moved me in, so it was really weird. But then when I got off stage, and my husband saw me, and I was like, where was I? I was like, did it look good? I'm like, was I shaking? Or like, so all of that. Obviously, the biggest thing is like, I was like, did my backside look good? I'm like,
Yes.
so yeah, so it's like the biggest thing, it's weird. It's like it's a curse, it's a blessing and a person. It's a blessing and a curse for me. It's so easy for me to grow it, but it's so hard for me to lean it out. So that was the biggest thing that I was worried about, that would um, could have possibly affected my place in, and that's what affected my the overall. So
I was curious about that because
mhm
Amy won the overall. I'm going to be talking with her soon too,
mhm
actually. And I remember
mhm
watching both of you on stage, and from a physique perspective, you both really nailed the criteria, I thought. I think you were right, though. She did
mhm
just come in a little bit tighter, and I thought both of
yes
you looked amazing. So, is that what they told you after the show?
yes mhm yes. So I spoke to the judges, and they pretty much told me no more. size. And
Wow.
also, when I looked at the back shots, like you can clearly see my claws, which I never even, I mean, I never thought that I was, I mean, I'm not really quad dominant, but I guess they're just showing so much from the front. So, um, that, so yeah, they pretty much told me to be even tighter, from the backside. So we
Yeah.
gotta lose some size on there on those specifically like not in the glutes but in the thighs, you know.
Right, right, around the legs,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
keeping that glute pop in and definition and the fullness without
Yeah.
overpowering the
Mhm.
legs.
Yeah, and see, and I think that that's where Amy had the uh
Yes.
you know, it worked out better for her, not just because, I mean, she was obviously smaller overall. Um, because I think part of the reason why, because she has been doing, I'm not sure how many national shows she did, but, you know, she was constantly dieting down and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that, you know, if that wasn't my first national show, maybe I would have gotten it. I mean, I would have, you know, if there was like a show after and I didn't get it, I obviously would have been probably smaller and whatnot. But I mean, it was certainly well deserved for her to get it, and definitely, like, I completely agree with everything, you know.
Yeah, I love that mentality. I
Mhm.
love that support and the ability to recognize like where improvements could be made or why choices
Mhm.
were made and um pro cards were awarded or not, let's say. And I think it's important for all athletes to know like you can go in and want everything from it and know you look good and know you nailed it and have your coach
Mhm.
tell you and still walk away regardless of if you're the champion, you're a new pro, or you got 16th like me, you know, you walk away and you know there's improvements to be made. But
Yes.
what's
Mhm.
what's really cool is you brought up your husband and you guys won your pro cards on the same show. You're actually the first couple to do this.
Y-
So
Yes,
tell
we
us
did.
about that. That's
Yes.
amazing.
I know. It was just, um, honestly, I was a lot more excited for him, because he was, so he did his warm up show in August, and then he did North Americans, and we were all there. So he didn't get it. He got third place, and you know, it's like when first one and second you get pro cards, and then you get third place.
Mhm.
It's like the worst, you know. It's like, man, you're like one place in, um, you know, just almost right there. And then he did national. Is that what he did? Yeah, he was sitting right next to me. So then he did national. So that actually I wasn't able to go because I had to, you know, it's really hard for me to get time off at work. So I had to literally just collect all of my vacation time and everything and switch with my other pharmacist so I can have enough time for USAs and then for vacation after that. So I wasn't able to go. And I remember I was watching it on my laptop actually, and my parents in Russia, they were with me on the phone, so I was showing them, and then he didn't get it, and it was just like I was so sad, like I'm so sad for him. And then he called me, and he's like, "I'm done." He's like, "That's it. I'm done." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You're doing USAs with me." And he's like, "No, I'm done." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna give him a little bit of time, you know, to go eat and like feel a little bit better, like talk to his coach, and then maybe he'll come around, you know." And like literally, I want to say probably either the next day or the same evening, he talked to his coach, and I told him, I'm like, "Babe, I'm like, we're already going to USA's. I'm like, I give you 1000%. I'm like, if you're not going to do the show and you're going to be watching the show, you're going to be like, oh, I could have been there. I could have gotten my pro card, you know?" So I'm like, we're already
Yeah.
paying for the tickets. We're already paying for hotel. I'm like, you might as well do it. I'm like, it's only 3 weeks away. it was hard. It was certainly hard for him. It was hard for both of us. It was, it was the end of the prep, and we were both hungry,
Mhm.
exhausted, and just yes, we got into each other a couple of times, but nothing like super bad. So when seeing his journey and just knowing how good he is, when he won his card, it was I honestly was happier for him than when I got my pro card. It definitely is right when they say that, it's like the win is so much sweeter, when like if it's taken you that much longer to get
Mhm.
it, because I think for me, it was just first show, yes, and I got it, yes, it's great. But I was so happy for him. It was certainly an incredible feeling. It was awesome. Because we're going to our vacation afterwards, and it would have really sucked if one of us didn't get it. And then we were like, "Yay!" Everyone congratulated one person, and then another one is just, "Yeah, I'm gonna get it next time," So it was awesome. It was great. An amazing feeling for sure.
That is so cool. I can tell that there was a lot of emotion in that and a lot of excitement. And I was actually going to ask you if you felt any pressure after he won his for you to then go
I
and get
did.
you did.
Yes. I know I did. Because it's like, yay, here's a pro now, and yeah, for sure, for sure. Because, as I said before, you just, until you step on stage, you never know.
Yeah.
And even though I'm very proud of myself that this time, because I was so busy, I didn't have the time to go and research on Instagram,
Mhm.
who's coming. But like you're seeing people, and you just always have to think that what matters. It doesn't matter how they look. It doesn't even matter how they look on stage by themselves. What matters is how they look compared to everyone. But exactly knowing that, it's like I knew that I looked good, but I didn't know who else was going to show up. So um, you just never know. I could have been second call. I don't know. It probably wouldn't happen, but you never know how it's going
That's
to work
true.
out. So it's definitely pressure there. He was like, "Yeah, hey, now it's your turn."
Absolutely. And so he saw it coming for you. Like he was really rooting for you. And I know sometimes that can be like tough. You were probably there for a long time as well. You said you had to take time off work to really be able to go to this show.
hmm
And the men's division competed a couple like a while before we
Yes.
actually went on.
Yeah. So his was a day before.
Mm,
So mine was the next day, which is, I'm definitely glad that it worked out that way, because, part of the reason why, like initially we didn't want to do the same show is because we wanted that one person to get all the attention, because it's really hard. Especially if the show is on that same date, because like he himself had to like check in with his coach multiple times per day,
mhm.
pretty much like after he ate he had to check in with him. So it's really hard for both of us to be doing a show on the same day, where uh, and for that other person to be able to give you the attention, or, yeah, pretty much the attention that you need. So I was really happy that the shows were on different days, because I was, one day I was able to be there for him and do everything, and, anything that he needed from me. And then the next day he did the same for me. And thankfully, I was also glad that his show was done before mine, because he was able to eat and get into
Yes.
good spirits, and actually have the energy um, to come and support me, because like their preps are, any prep is hard, but I feel like for guys it's just it's so much harder. Like, yeah, so much harder.
Yeah, like they're getting completely peeled. And of course, we have
Mm-hmm.
our own ups and downs as well. And you've talked about how in the past you would take time off and struggle a little bit with the reverse dieting or with rebounding. So, how are you feeling after this last show? And are you taking a different approach because you're trying to get pregnant?
Well, see, we had to, um, I mean, I had to put on fat.
Yeah.
So that, so that like, my everything could have been functioning properly, because I lost, my cycle maybe like, six, at least like between 6 and 4 weeks before the show. So I knew that in order for me to get it back, I mean, you have to, put some fat on and stuff. So, I mean, we went straight to vacation, so that wasn't hard. I mean, we were pretty active and everything. But so right after the show, it took me 3 weeks to get my cycle back, which I felt
Wow.
like it was very quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was very quick, and I was very happy about it, because the sooner that my body can start working properly, the sooner that we can actually accomplish that goal. It's funny, that like I feel like for uh, regular people, I mean, not regular people, for just, I guess, yeah, for
I
regular
hear
people,
you.
yeah, they're just us and regular people. And it doesn't, they just go there and they're like, oh, I got pregnant, but um for us, like, we actually had to plan that out, like there was, like, we were specifically pushing really, really hard this year to be able to get our pro cards, because we knew that next year, like, that we want to start a family. So, and right now, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I am feeling so blah, and I feel like I'm just, my body is all over the place, as I said before, and I don't know whether it's because something's happening there, or, I mean, there's definitely something happening there, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just because my body is so messed up right now or whatnot. But yeah, it's not fun, and it's, like, what I want to do. My body is like, man, I'm like, I need to get back on a diet. I need to, I mean, which I'm still doing macros and everything, but, I'm like, I need to be stricter, like, I want to start restricting and stuff like that. But then I'm like, man, I can, because
Right.
we're trying to get pregnant, and so it's really, really hard going from being in the best shape of your life into now, and then knowing that it's only going to get worse, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, so that has been a struggle for me, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate.
And I feel like, yeah, the whole pregnancy, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not excited.
Really?
I'm not
Why not?
excited. Yeah. I think that my body is gonna do what it wants, and I don't like it, I don't like, hormones are such a beast that you never know what is gonna happen. So I mean, it is gonna do what it's gonna do, and then I'm gonna be starting my prep, a 200-pound mark.
Do you
Yeah,
feel
I
like
mean,
you'll gain a lot of weight in pregnancy?
yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know until it
Right.
happens, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be one of those moms.
And even if you are, like, the cool thing is, you can all like you are a bodybuilder, you can always manipulate and
Right,
change your body. So there's a lot of like
right.
comfort that can come from that, but it can definitely be challenging whether it's someone's trying to start a family or it's someone who's just needing to put on fat, like seeing that change, like
Mhm.
you said, from going like your
I
best
know.
shape and you're then being
Yeah,
rewarded for it, right? Like you're rewarded for being so
that's
lean.
true.
And then it's like,
Yes, that's
okay, now there's no reward. other than a
Right.
baby,
Well, see,
which
exactly. I was just gonna say that. I'm like, baby's gonna be the reward. So hopefully, when I look at it, I'm going to be like, who cares how I look? But you know what? We're actually, so we are planning to do our pro debuts together. So
oh
do the same
wow.
pro show. So that would certainly, like literally, as soon as I pop out that baby, I'm gonna be like, Whitney, we're getting the prep. So yeah, that's definitely that's the goal, and hopefully hopefully it will be as easy as I think about it, you know. But I mean, obviously, geez, I mean, after the baby, it's going to be rough. Not just after the baby, but because you have a baby, you know. So
Hmm.
that's just going to be like even less time. So we will see. We'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited. Um, I'm excited and scared at the same time. But you know, just don't think about it. You're gonna go with the flow. That has been my thing actually throughout
That's
here.
awesome.
You know.
Yeah, I imagine so. And how did you guys know you were ready to start a family, or like what are some things you did to prepare?
Well, we've been married for a little bit over 3 years. He was ready to have a baby like right away. But so well, first, I was still in pharmacy school when we met. So I knew that like that was not going to happen because I just wanted to be, you know, I had this terror of not being able to pass my boards, and then like what am I going to do? I have all this debt and I can't work and all that stuff. So I wanted to do that first and then get established and then have a kid. Well, then we started competing, and then we're like, oh, well, let's get our pro cards first and then have a baby. Um, so so I am 33 now, and I guess it's time, you know. But I haven't been mentally ready for about like I don't know, for maybe like until like a year ago, but not like I was still not ready, you know. I'm like,
Wow.
I don't feel like having a kid yet. Like I always knew I want to have a kid. But like since recently I'm just like, yes, I'm ready to have
Mm.
a baby. My brother had a baby, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, I just want to have that little thing. I'm ready, you know. Now I am ready. For sure.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So that was
gosh.
up with that.
I mean I hear that you're scared about what could happen or how long it's gonna take, or like, oh my gosh, what about all the time? And then I also hear like this really like this excited part of you that's like
Yes.
ready to take this
Yes.
on. And I mean, it
Let me
sounds
tell
like
you, that baby is coming to shows.
that is awesome. I just like, okay, let me backtrack to what you said earlier about like prepping with
Okay.
Shane. And you
Uh
were
huh.
like, oh, there were some moments where we snapped at each other, but now you guys want to do a pro debut together after a
Yes.
baby. So it sounds like it went
Yes.
well.
Yeah. I mean, it did go pretty well, and I and I think that we kind of learned um what to do and what not to do. It is also, I think, where we had our disagreements. Um, about 2 weeks before the show, we moved twice.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so we had yeah, that was also a challenge. He didn't want to move, but now he's happy he moved again. he moved for the second time. So I think that also kind of just made it a little bit worse for us. And I mean, I'm sure with a baby it's going to be bad. Um, but I mean, I think in the end we definitely became closer. I mean, with shows, you just when both people are doing it, you kind of um, you learn like what to do and what not to do, what the other person, likes or dislikes and stuff like that. So it was definitely a learning curve. It was the very, very first time that we were prepping together. But yeah, I mean, regardless of how hard it is, um, it also, the other person, regardless of whether we had arguments or not, that other person, he knows exactly what you're going through, so
True.
you can easily put yourself into their shoes. So I feel like when later when we are prepping for a pro debut, um, we know what one of us needs or what he doesn't need or whatnot. He was he was really good. I honestly I wouldn't be able to prep without him. When he left
Oh.
for nationals and I was working nonstop, I literally had like no food at home because I would leave at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I would come home, and it was already too late to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I know that no matter what, he always has my back. So, and especially during preps, it's really important to have that someone there, to have your back, to, because he uh, wants a baby even more than I do. And he has 4 nieces and 2 nephews. So he has been with babies a lot. I don't have anyone. I literally like, I, I held a baby and then they gave him away that was like for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So he is so excited to have a baby and to have her. I think we want her, and so I know that he would always back me up with whether I would need to go to the gym or just,
Mm,
go get my nails done or whatnot. He is that person who would literally be with a baby anytime and every time. So it's
that is
definitely,
awesome.
yeah, that wouldn't be an issue. Let me tell you that.
I love that. Does he work full time too?
So he works for a roofing company, so he kind of can choose his schedule, which works great for us because he can run some errands and go do things, um, and then on my days off, then we do whatever things we need to do together. But yeah, his schedule is definitely a lot more flexible, which makes it perfect.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. Like it sounds like it's gonna work out
Mhm.
well and it already
Mhm.
has. And I'm curious because you do work full time. You work 12-hour days a lot of the times. You're very busy. You got promoted. And it I know you mentioned this has affected like the feeling of time. There are people who listen to this and they're like, how am I going to manage working full time and competing? And you said you really just pushed through it. And I was curious if
Yes.
you're
Mhm.
like, did that mentality come from all the things you've experienced in your life here, like coming to America and working your butt off and eventually earning your doctorate? Like, do you feel like that influenced the way you approach bodybuilding?
Yes, I think so. And I think that people that compete, they do love it because I
Mhm.
mean, who would love getting up early in the morning or, starving yourself and all that. I mean, you do really need to love it. And I like when you have an end goal, you do what you have to do. So, um, which, uh, I'm sure that, well, hopefully, um, someone else's situation is better than mine with working because mine obviously wasn't optimal. Yes, I was getting stuff done, but at the same time, recovery is so important and I wasn't getting it. Um, which, like if you're not getting enough recovery, that might hinder your progress and all of that. But yes, I have always been very, very hardworking and um, as I said, if you have a goal in front of you, I mean, I just go for it. I'm kind of like a person, like if I want to get it, I get it.
Hmm.
I get it done, or I just plain get it.
Yes.
Yes,
Love that. I
yes.
honestly, like, I can see that in you. It's so cool. And I have a lot of respect for people who say yes to the things that they want, because that does take courage. And there's a lot of pride that can be built from that. And I love what you shared just about how if you want something, you'll go and commit to it. But I really want to highlight
Hmm.
just your incredible story as it is. So, can you share with us what it was like for you to go from a poor immigrant family to now a doctor of pharmacy, wife, IFB pro, ready to start a family? Like, did you ever think this would be how your life unfolded?
Um, well, first, let me correct you. That wasn't a poor immigrant family. That was just me. My family is still in Russia.
Mhm.
So when we came here, um, I mean, my best friend and I, we just stayed. So we didn't have anyone,
Got
anything.
it.
And and I think like when you're that age, you just don't. I mean, I guess maybe I'm not that kind of person to like really overthink it. But I mean, at that point in life, we weren't overthinking it. We were just, oh, let's just stay, and we are just like going with it. But I I guess I wanted that to be my life. It took
Mm.
me a very long time to get to where I'm at, because even when I decided to go to pharmacy school, I had to take my prerequisites, and then there were point in time when um, I had to like step away from it. I actually applied to one pharmacy school. I like totally forgot about it. I applied to one pharmacy school in Arizona, and I didn't even get the interview. And then I was like, whatever. I'm like, I don't want to be a pharmacist anymore. And
Wow.
I don't know what I was thinking. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what I would have been doing. But I think that I was thinking like, oh, maybe like a physical therapist, and then like, and then years go by and stuff, and then there were some things changing in my life, and then I one day I came across another pharmacy school, and then I applied, and then I got in, and it was certainly starting to look um like everything that I wanted, because I have been like during that journey, I have been saying for such a long time, when I'm a pharmacist, I would literally like, when I'm a pharmacist, I would have that, or when I'm a pharmacist, what I would do that, and so when I got accepted, it really, um, I mean, obviously that was a great feeling. And let me tell you, when I passed my boards, um, it is probably like still like the happiest day of my life, probably one of the happiest days of my life right now. Just like, cause, so in pharmacy school, you have to take two different boards. So one is, um, like the national exam that everyone takes it, and the second one is the law exam. So if you fail one of them, you can be a licensed pharmacist. Um, so I took the first exam, and then I passed it, and I checked it myself, and I took the law exam, and it was really bad. It was really bad. I
Oh,
came out
wow.
and I was like, whoa. I'm like, whoa, I really failed that one. I was so confident that I failed it. And the way that they give you results, so it's online, and you have to check it, and it takes like um, 3 or 4 days.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it takes 3 or 4 days, and I think that I took my exam before the weekend, so I had to wait the whole weekend.
Oh,
I
no.
like it was the worst, and then I couldn't like I remembered. how when I was checking my first exam and I literally like I was shaking, you know, but because I was kind of like, yeah, I'm probably past it, you know, I got over it. But for that law exam, I literally I couldn't check it. So I told Shane, I was like, Dave, I'm like, you got to go check it for me. And so he like, we knew that it was coming like that one day. Um, and so he called me and then he told me on the phone and we were
Oh
just,
my
well,
gosh.
yeah. And I was like, I started jumping and my dog was right there with me. And we were like, we were both so happy. That was certainly the happiest moment. And then I called my mom and I told them and they were like all cried. And, so all that. And since it was definitely a pivotal moment in my life and career, that certainly brought me to where I'm at now. And not just obviously, you know, fitness wise. I mean, I was able to focus on fitness more because, you know, now I had more time. Now I had more money. You know, I mean, bodybuilding is not cheap. You know, it's very expensive. You know, but I was able to do the things that I like finally with, you know, by a by being able to hold on. I'm like trying to word it by being able to you know, to actually you know, have the resources for that, you know. So
Yes.
and it's funny because so if you when you read that story that I started the story, so yeah, so about a year after being in America, I said I don't want to be here anymore and I wanted to go home.
Oh.
And I remember I was calling my mom and I was crying, so I asked her to like reinstate me back at my school. They're back at home, so I was gonna go back and just like, you know, start the school back again to like where I left off and everything. And I remember I was crying and I was like, and I'm like, I went here and I'm like, now I'm like going back with like a loser, you know, like I didn't, like I wasn't able to like get anywhere. And like, little did I know that it's going to take me literally like 10 years, you know,
Mm.
over 10 years to be where, I mean, I'm still not where I want to be. I still have obviously other plans and stuff, but at least be where I wanted to be at that point of time, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, just a reminder to everyone that, you know, you know, it takes years. It's, you know, patience, just like bodybuilding, you know, like
Yes.
normal life. And, you know, it definitely, you know, I was never, like, I wasn't a lucky person who, um, you know, who was given something. Like I actually
Mm.
had to get where I am right now by myself. You know, I had to put myself through school, and but honestly, I mean, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't want it to be exactly how it happened.
That's beautiful. I seriously, I love that so much. And such an inspiring story because it shows that anything really is possible. And even when you're faced with
Yeah.
challenges that
Mhm.
make you want to give
Mhm.
up, you can push through. And I was curious what the American dream, quote unquote, was depicted like
Yeah.
in Russia, like that made you want to actually
Ah.
come.
You know, I don't know, probably like from Hollywood movies, you know, Hollywood parties. And I mean, I was never really a partier, but yeah, just that Hollywood life. And then when we came, oh, geez, it was nothing like that, you know? I was like, I'm gonna make so much money. I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna buy all those things, and then it's like, oh geez, they took out so much out of my paycheck. What happened?
That is
Yeah,
so funny.
it was an awakening. I was like, whoa, that is definitely nothing what I imagined. Yeah, but
You got
But we
here and
still
you're
liked
like,
it, you
oh,
know,
I'm
we still
living
liked
in
it.
this this cramped place. I'm eating McDonald's every
Yeah.
day.
Yes. And then we were, my very first job was Taco Bell.
Really?
Taco Bell, yes. And then housekeeping, and oh man, housekeeping was hard. Like they really, really, you have to work really hard. But yeah, fast foods and where it started. I actually worked at McDonald's too for a little bit. Um, then we left.
Wow.
Yeah, it
So
was starting from the ground.
yeah. And were you just saving money so you could go to school, or did you not even see yourself going to school at first?
At first, no. Because at first I didn't know that I was going to stay. And then I was just kind of, living the life and just like working and not really thinking about future so much. But then like a couple of years went by and I really started thinking, okay, what do I want to do? Because my major back home in Russia was English, and I knew
Ah,
that's not what I wanted to do here. So I really was like, okay, what can I do? Um, and yeah, then I decided on pharmacy and started taking all the classes.
wow. So you like stumbled upon pharmacy, or did you read things about it?
Yes. Well, I don't know why, but I wanted something in healthcare.
Ah,
And looking at the actual doctors and everything, it was, I mean, it takes them forever. And I was already, I think when I was thinking about it, I was maybe like 22, 23, so it was already a couple of years past since we've been there. And I'm like, no, there's no way. I'm like, I'm not gonna, go to school for another, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And yes, and then I stumbled upon pharmacy, and I just started researching it, and I saw on what kind of prerequisites they need and how long the school is. And I was like, oh, let me, and I was already taking some biology classes, so which were part of the prerequisites, which was perfect. And I was like, let me try and work at a pharmacy. And like literally, like in a week, I got a job at Walgreens as a pharmacy tech. And I was like,
wow.
ooh, I like it. And that's it. And then I made up my mind, and like I want to be a pharmacist, and I just went for it.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that so much. It's cool what happens when we find a passion or something that really
Mhm.
resonates with us. And now you're living the life. It's obviously required a lot of you, but you described the moment you passed your boards and how it was like this pivotal moment in your life.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that was the moment you felt like you made it, or was it after you started
Yes.
working?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for sure. Yes, it definitely. And for like months and months after that, I was just like, and like I would talk to my mom, and I'm like, man, and honestly, like, I mean, obviously there was like ups and downs and everything. And in the future, I want to own my own pharmacy. So that's my
Wow. So
big
that's
goal.
your big goal.
Yes, that's my big goal. So when that happens, then I'm gonna be like, yes, now I made it. But no, but just like getting to that point was definitely one of those moments for sure. And man, I just lost my thoughts.
Yeah,
I was going somewhere.
the made it moments. And um
Oh yes, and then when I became a pharmacy manager, that was also I was like,
mhm.
and my mom was like, I always knew you're going to be a manager. You're going to be the boss.
Aw,
And I was like, oh,
that's
yeah, yeah,
awesome. I
yes.
love that.
Um, but yes, but when I own my own pharmacy, that is the ultimate goal. Um, I I think that's when I'm gonna be like, yeah,
That's
But
cool.
I mean, obviously it's probably not going to be, because by that time that I'm going to be like, I mean, that's what I think that's what life should be about. And, I'm kind of a person that I love to have goals and, being able like reaching them. So I always like, okay, maybe that's how it happened with competing too. Like I love planning my shows and like when this is going to happen, when that's going to happen, which, it doesn't always play out like you plan, but I still like making the plans. So,
Yes.
yes, making plans and goals. So that's, um, something that I love to do, and I love like reaching those too.
Love that. And forgive me for not being better, I guess, versed in this area, but like when you say own your own pharmacy, would this be something like
Hmm.
a CVS or would it be like
No,
okay, so it'd be
no,
like your
I'm at
own.
CVS. I'm at CVS right now.
Okay.
No, I'm at CVS right now. Yes, that CVS is corporate. No, I want to have my own independent pharmacy where I am the actual boss, and I'm not, you know,
Mhm.
um, yes, I'm telling everyone what to do, which is I'm not that kind of boss. I think I'm more of a friendly boss. I joke with my text. Yeah, I certainly don't feel like a boss, but when the time comes, I know what I need done. I get stuff done.
Absolutely.
They get stuff done. Yes, yes, but no, it's yeah, that would be completely something of my own. That would be my other baby.
That's
Something
awesome.
that I can yeah, something that I can uh potentially give to my kids.
Mhm.
Because that was um so I guess not just the reason why the actually like when I passed boards, that was probably the first time when I actually felt proud of myself.
Wow.
um I don't know, like I feel like all of those other accomplishments, they were just, like it wasn't it, but like passing the boards and becoming a pharmacist was really like such a proud moment, knowing that I my kids are going to be able to say, oh, my mom was a doctor, or um like for me to be able to give them the life that I never had. My parents um, didn't have a lot of money, um, so I couldn't get the things that I like wanted. I was never like I was a very shy kid, and I'm actually I'm a pretty shy person now with people that I don't know, so I just kind of keep quiet. Um, and so I never asked my parents really for anything, but obviously like you want things and stuff like that. So I want to be able to give my kids what I couldn't have. So that was definitely a moment in my life when I thought that and that's when I felt that I'm ready to have a kid now, because I know that I can take care of the kid and then give them everything that I want. Like
Mhm.
I can go to the store and be like, oh, I want that stroller, and I don't really care how much it costs. I mean, obviously, I still care. I'm not making that much money, but just still like being able to kind of give them this nice things.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you being willing to share that because I think that it's important to talk about things like finances and our
Mhm.
success as well. So,
Mhm.
what have you done or what have you been doing to really set yourself up for continued financial stability and success and being debt free and being able to provide for your kids? Like, what have you been doing to set yourself up for that?
I'm not a very good person to be asking that. So hey, that was one of my New Year's resolutions to be better at budgeting. I mean, we are getting there. Um, yes, it is definitely still a work in progress. Um, but yes, I don't even know. I honestly, that was a tough question, but no, I'm definitely not a good budgeter by any means, but I'm trying to. Yeah, so I'm trying to.
That's great.
I definitely tell my husband every day, like, honey, wait, wait. I can't be spending that much money. I'm not going to say we. I can't be spending that much money. I need to put myself in a budget. Yeah, so that is definitely a work in progress. Yes.
Definitely. Well, someone like you can achieve literally anything they set their mind to, so I've no doubt that you'll get there.
I see. It's so funny because, like, um, when I think about owning my own pharmacy, for some reason, um, like I know that's gonna happen. Like I have that feeling.
Mhm.
Like I know that it's gonna happen. Um, like I know that it's gonna be hard, but for some reason, I know that like I'm gonna be fine. I can do it. I don't know. I just have that weird
Mhm.
feeling inside of me that, oh, I can totally do it.
Oh, yes.
It's just a matter of time for me, um, for us right now. But it's gonna happen. I don't know when, but it will definitely happen. Trust
Oh,
me.
I trust
Yeah,
you. I know
definitely.
that feeling.
Yeah,
It's like sometimes you just really know.
yeah,
And
exactly. Mhm,
it's a different type of feeling. You just know and you have that faith and
mhm,
it's empowering feeling for sure. And I love that you feel
mhm.
that way for yourself. And I also just want to say everything that you've talked to us about has been so amazing. And I really appreciate you being willing to be so open about your whole life. It's really special.
Thank you. Yes, it was. I mean, it was easy. It was easy to open up. Thank you for asking me this. We
Of
kind of we kind
course.
of totally wandered into the like real life and not fitness, but it's
That's what
all
I
related. It's
want.
all related.
Yes. That's why
Like
I started this.
it's all connected. And I like it's like I wouldn't be where I am at right now if it wasn't for fitness to begin with. I wouldn't
Mm.
have met my husband if it wasn't for fitness. Like a lot of people that I know now and just a lot of things, they all, came from there. So it's, I just I feel like for a lot of people, um, it is a starting point of something greater.
So true. Oh, that's so beautiful. Wait, did you meet your husband at the gym or something?
Well, we met at when I was in pharmacy school. There was a local bikini show, so we met there. That's how
That's
we,
awesome.
yeah, that's how we found out of each other. So if that wasn't, for me competing or him competing or anything like that, so like we probably would have never met.
Wow. I love that. And I just think it's so cool what you guys have and everything you shared, like I said, it really resonates and it's awesome and it's a great perspective. And I'd love if you could leave us with your best advice. And let's start with your best advice for a competitor, for someone who's never competed before but wants to, and then your best advice for someone
Hmm.
on their road to pro.
Okay, so for a competitor that never competed before, the best would be hire a good coach. Do your research, hire a good coach. I wish I would have had Whitney and Alex, right from the start, because it's so important, especially for girls, in order for you to, stay healthy, being able to compete for a long time. Just, do it right from the start. So get a good coach. That would be that. And for someone who wants to become a pro, never give up. Not from my example, but from my husband's example, when he was literally about to, there was a moment, maybe like 2 weeks before the show, or maybe like a week and a half before the show, and he was laying on the couch and he was like, I don't think I can do it. He's like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I offered him a cookie. He said no. But and then like half an hour after that, he was like, no, I'm fine. I'm doing it. So like if he would have given up, then he wouldn't have gotten his pro card of when he got it, So I would say don't give up, and, take all the, judges' feedback, and, listen to your coach, and just keep going at it. If pro card is really what you want, just take a time off if you need to, because for some people it's, they have great physique and shape, but they don't have enough muscle or something. So maybe they need the time off to grow. Just keep at it and it will happen.
Yes. Wow. Fantastic advice for both audiences, that's for sure. And I'm in the boat of needing to take time off to grow, and I'm okay with that. I'm excited about that. Honestly, this is like, I just love the feeling, and I can't wait to see, what I can build. And I just appreciate you reinforcing the need of patience. And I love the story you shared about your husband as well. So thank you for bringing that to this platform.
Yes, absolutely.
And I would love if everyone is able to connect with you or reach out to you or just follow your journey from here. So can you let everybody know where they can do that?
Yes. You guys can follow me on Instagram. My name is Irina __post_. So I'm trying to bring my social media up a little bit, and I started, a lot of girls are interested in workouts, so I started posting more workouts, and so hopefully if you guys come down and then you like it, then give me a follow. And if anyone has any questions, you guys can DM me. I mean, I pretty much answer everyone. Don't be intimidated. Yes. Even though, as I said before, yes, a lot of people are intimidated, but I think it's just I think my husband says it's my Russian look. Yeah, but awesome. I'm definitely, I'm not like that on the inside. So yes.
And we've learned that. That's
thank
for
you.
Sure.
Thank you so much for having me and really making me open up. It was really awesome. I really liked it. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so glad. You're so welcome. Seriously, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. And you guys, I'm going to make sure her link to her Instagram is in the show notes page, as always, along with the full episode notes and timestamps. So you can always read the summary and you can see exactly what we talked about when. So if you want to go back and listen, like, oh, what did she say about her husband's journey to pro card? Or, oh, what did she say about earning her doctorate, then you can go back and find that exactly where it was. So that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. And thank you guys so much for listening again, for supporting the athletes in the sport, and for really being part of this amazing community we've been able to build together. So with that being said, Irina, thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me. You guys have a good day. Thank you.
Of course. And hope you all have an amazing